Stop trying to scare your child into success and do this instead. Hi, I'm Dr. Roseanne, and I make calming dysregulation easy. And today we're diving into why you shouldn't be using fear based parenting tactics. Because when you parent like your parent and probably your grandparent parented, we're not really achieving anything, right? Instead, we're teaching our kids to doubt themselves and get in a fear cycle, and they're not going to grow and thrive in the way that you think they are, right? So, parents unknowingly use fear to motivate their kids because it's passed down generationally. And, instead of motivating kids, right, by saying, if you do this, you're not going to college. If you do this, you're going to get in trouble constantly, right? All we're going to do is create anxiety. We're going to create avoidance. We're going to reduce motivation. We're going to really help kids to not have self confidence. And guess what? Fear based parenting is tied to increased risky behaviors. All those things that you're reminding your kid of is actually creating a greater likelihood that they're going to do drugs, they're going to get in trouble criminally with peers, they're going to struggle to get along with others and, not succeed because you're using fear, right? When we're using fear-based parenting, we're actually focusing on the failure and we're teaching kids to focus on failure. They will focus on the failure and not strive for success based on how we talk to them. So an example of this is if you don't get good grades, you're going to, fail in life. And what might actually happen is what you don't want to happen. They may actually avoid their schoolwork because they may, right, just sort of give up, right? If we are told we can't do something, aren't we going to believe that? Because when we're told, like Philomena told me, there were no limits. When people actually try to challenge me that women had limits, I was like, I don't think so. Right. And of course, who always wanted to challenge me that women had limits? Other women, because I just didn't even understand that. Right. And when we use fear based parenting, we really, really decrease their self esteem, which is going to affect their decision making because they're going to doubt themselves. Just like when somebody told me I couldn't do something, I was like, I don't know what your mother told you, but I know this to be true. There was no doubt in my mind, right? It cracks me up sometimes how people talk to each other. And again, it's passed down generationally. Let's break that because fear based parenting, if it worked, right, we would have emotionally healthy kids and we don't, right? And I think fear based parenting, what really it does, probably more than anything, is it really damages that parent child relationship. You start having resentment for each other. You emotionally distance from each other. Your child doesn't feel safe. And so what's going to happen? They're more likely to shut down, rebel. They're going to lie more to avoid criticism. Who wants to be criticized? Now, remember, correction and criticism are different things. When we start using these techniques to break from our fear-based parenting cycle, really start shifting. Let's talk about 5 steps to break a fear-based parenting cycle because you can do this, okay? Small steps, you start moving in that direction that you're supposed to, and your child's gonna be a whole lot more regulated, more motivated, more independent. These are the skills: stress tolerance, self-regulation. Self-regulation is the foundation for everything. Remember, we're gonna stop trying to scare our kids into success. We're going to really help them want that success for themselves. And it doesn't come from fear, it comes from confidence. Okay, so let's talk about how to build confidence. So we're going to replace fear based language with encouragement, right? And here's a really great example of that. If you don't study, you're going to fail. Okay, that's fear based. When we shift it to when you study, you're going to feel more confident and you're going to be prepared. What does that say to a child? Oh, yeah, maybe I should study more, right? Instead of, are you studying? Because you're going to fail. These simple shifts. Remember, everything I do is really about shifting and working smarter, not harder. We didn't know when we were having kids that we were going to be challenged with these things. And I'm here to give you that. And if you're looking for more solutions like this, you can go to drroseanne.com/help and take our solution matcher. And it's going to guide you to the right solution for what you need. There's a ton of unbelievable resources designed for you. We need to take action. Okay. So when we shift our language, we shift our focus from effort to efforts and positive reinforcement and outcome, right? So when we get them to see the positive outcomes, right, we're actually going to build intrinsic motivation, right? That's that internal motivation, right? It doesn't come from fear. When you do fear, you're going to constantly need to dangle a carrot. That's extrinsic motivation, right? Less threats, more action, honestly, is the shift that changes everything. Okay, put the F in there. Okay, number 2. All right, so when we use if-then statements, we actually reinforce choices. We get their brains to shift. Remember, this is all the brain hacks, right? So instead of saying, if you don't finish your homework, there's no screen time, we shift it to, when your homework is done, you can have screen time. So we make that subtle shift. You can do this. I hope you're like, Dr. Bro, that is gold. Because it is, because that little shift, we shift the focus from punishment to responsibility without nagging. How about that? It teaches kids that actions lead to results instead of you nagging. Again, because who likes that, right? Okay, 3, we're going to focus on problem solving instead of threats. Here's a great example. If you don't behave, we're not going bowling. Instead of, if you want to go bowling, what do we need to do today to make that happen? And then the kid's like, okay, yeah, I got to finish my homework. And maybe they don't have the skills yet, that they're like, I don't know. And be like, oh, okay, well, let's go through. Let's go through. Maybe we should look at homework, or did you finish your chores? And then ask the question. Okay, so if we want to go bowling today, what do we got to do? Now, I love to take this one step further. Go back and listen to, the number one way to help your kids' executive functioning, because this is about executive functioning. What does that look like to make that happen? Okay, what is the end result? Oh, we're going bowling. Okay, yep, all right. How do I get there? What do I have to do? And you get them to start thinking that, right? Kids start to learn they can build their own success and be in control. Definition of happiness is actually being in control. Nobody likes to not be in control. It builds problem-solving skills, right? And executive functioning is a big part of that. Now, our job is to help people. Some kids have better executive functioning skills than others, but this is learned over time. Your kids can learn these skills, people, okay? Starts with you. Okay, number 4, we're going to model resilience instead of fear, okay? Get your stuff together, people. Okay, because remember, this is passed down generationally. You might have to do some of your own inner work. You might have to join our dysregulation solution. You might have to go to see a therapist to get it together. But you decided to have kids, or the Lord Jesus decided to give you kids, or whoever else you pray to, and you got them. So let's break this generational stuff and create emotionally regulated kids, because I know we can do it. Kids absorb what they see. Okay, so if you're telling them one thing and you're doing another, they're going to look at what you're doing. All right? So instead of, nobody's perfect. We're talking 80% of the time. When you model fear, they're going to show those fears, right? So, oh, we're going to be in a lot of traffic. I think we're going to be late. There's traffic. We're going to be late. You didn't even walk out the door. You didn't even say, something else, right? So, okay. So when we hit traffic, we'll have to just think of plan B. Okay, it's different. You're starting to tell them stuff happens, and this is how we do it. When we help kids see that setbacks are temporary and solvable, and you don't need to freak out, it teaches them flexibility. It teaches them confidence to test out problem solving. So when your kids test out, solving their own problems, they're not going to be great, but they're attempting to handle a challenge on their own with what you're teaching them. Okay, number 5. You want to build trust and emotional safety, right? You want your kids to be problem solvers, really start thinking things through and break this fear based parenting cycle of threatening, right? Kids need to feel safe in order to attempt problem solving, right? So they can't fear judgment. And how do you do that? So, active listening, therapy term, right? Active listening is you're not giving fear based warnings. You can say, "Oh, I see that you're upset. I'm here for you when you need me," right? You're offering a lifeline. You're being supportive. You're creating emotional safety for your child, right? You're not rescuing them. You're not threatening them. And when we move to a trusting, building safety, and please know, safety, trust doesn't come just because you live in a nice house. You send your kids to a fancy school. I see this all the time. It comes through real life connection and helping them in a loving way. Not perfection, but giving them the space to figure stuff out on their own and guiding them when they need it. And when you do this, it really restructures the relationship that you have with your child, creates that safety. And most importantly, it's going to build the confidence that they need because they're testing it out in a safe place with you. They're not relying on knucklehead friends. Maybe they're not knucklehead friends, but there's a lot of knuckleheads. They're not relying to others, they're not looking for solutions, they're not doing risky things. They have the confidence to be good decision makers. Not when you're around, when you're not around is when you want your kids to be amazing decision makers. So I hope this is an enlightening conversation. It really came because in the last few weeks, I've had a lot of parents let the cat out of the bag that they're fear based parenting. It's a generational misstep, and we can break that. And these are 5 steps that every parent can take. I don't care what story you got, you can do this. So if you need more help in supporting your kid regulate, you can go to drroseanne.com/help, take our solution matcher, and be part of our parent tribe who's there helping our kids learn to move from dysregulation to calm.